Hey everybody, welcome to the Nick and Nick podcast. This podcast is powered by Royalty Roofing and Siding. Crown your home and your commercial property with Royalty. Looking forward to having a conversation with Brad Burklund, our special guest in the studio today. Today we're going to be talking about a variety of things, but Brad, thanks for joining us first.
You bet.
Thanks for joining us on the Nick and Nick podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know, do you do many of these?
No, I haven't actually.
Well, it's good to have you. Now, you are the owner, operator of Strategic Solutions, correct?
Yes.
But there's more of a history to how you've gotten to be that. What are you, president, CEO, owner,
Yes.
all the above?
All the above, yeah, all the titles, all the hats.
Tell us a little bit about, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and your family and, your evolution.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I got started in this business, it's been now 11 years ago.
Okay.
Doesn't seem possible. But I was in a family business for over 30 years. We had the Walker Tire stores here in Omaha.
So you inherited that?
My father had worked for the guy in Lincoln. The guy
Okay.
in Lincoln was Vern Walker, was the
Okay.
original guy. And so he started the stores down there.
Okay.
And then my father went to work for him, came out of the construction world and went to work for him, and then ended up coming to Omaha and starting a location up here, and then worked through and ended up buying him out. So I was in the business. My brother came into the business, so it was the three of us, and then worked at it for, like I said, 31 years, just over 31 years, and built that up. And then got to a point where we had sold off one of our divisions, and so my brother and I got to a point and said, hey, do we both need to be in this business? Decided we didn't need to.
Okay.
And so he ended up buying me out, which was great. And when I was going through that transition, it was a lot more difficult than I thought. There's just a lot of history. You really have an attachment to a business when you've worked at it, virtually your whole working career.
Basically, it becomes your baby, right?
Yes, 100%. It's like one of your children.
I'm right in the thick of it right now, so I can pick up what you're putting down.
Exactly. And so I had no idea. I felt like I had a really good team when we were doing the transition. I had a good accountant, I had a good, attorney, I had, good advisement, but nobody was really dealing with the whole, I guess, the soft issues, the issues of, hey, what about the attachment to the business? What are you going to do next? How does that really need to look? What do you really not want to see happen? What do you really want to see happen? And I thought, you know what? I think I could help some people in that. I have kind of a servant mentality. And so I said, I think I can help some people doing transition of their companies. And so I started my own company, Strategic Solutions, doing just that. So it's basically specialized business coaching.
Right.
So I help business owners. I have some young guys that I work with that were, building businesses that are going to be sellable at some point in time. And then I work with a lot of people my own age that are trying to figure out how to get out. It's not necessarily
both ends of the
easy.
spectrum here, huh?
Well, the statistics are staggering. 80% of the small businesses that go on the market today do not sell.
Okay.
Because, the owners too.
Hold on,
too
80% of the small businesses that are on the market never sell.
Correct.
Wow.
Because they can't find an investor, they can't find that right person to take over, they haven't groomed anyone to be able to take over. And a lot of times, maybe it's something that happens to the owner. The owners tend to kick the can down the road.
Right.
And so they don't want to face their own mortality,
right,
which is tough. But they also, don't know exactly what to do. That's the hardest part. They're expected to make all the decisions in their company, and now all of a sudden they don't know what to do and they don't know where to look.
Right.
So that's kind of where I try to help in that space to say, hey, here's how we approach this to get ourselves into a situation where we could sell this. And a lot of times the business owner is the business.
Right.
If all the customers are tied to that owner, then when he walks away, you have a very slim chance that those customers are all going to stay.
Especially if you haven't been grooming a successor or, equipping somebody to, pick up where you're taking off.
Right. So depending on your management team,
kind
of how you've transitioned, how you have allocated the responsibilities. A lot of owners are, we'll call them control freaks.
Yeah.
And so they want to make sure every decision goes through them. Well, when that happens, the rest of the company doesn't do well when that owner's not around.
Right.
They've never had to have that responsibility.
So what experience did you get from the Walker Tire transition from your father to you and your brother, and then just your brother, and then what did you gather, wisdom, principles, understanding from that experience that propelled you or thrust you into this market, Strategic Solutions?
That's a great question. I think the biggest piece of it is perspective.
Okay.
was very fortunate in that I was able to sit in all the chairs. So,
meaning
we had an owner that was there,
Okay.
and then my
Walker.
father was
Okay.
there, and so then we ended up buying that business away from that initial owner.
Yes.
And then
So
my
the generations were all present at one time.
Yes.
That's invaluable.
Yeah, and then my father owned the business, and then my brother and I ended up buying him out.
Right.
And then sat in the chairs. You know, we had sisters that were not in the business. We had, you know, my brother and I in the business. So, you know, understanding those dynamics when it comes to family. You know, can you still have Thanksgiving dinner together if you're
And then show up to work on Monday morning.
Exactly. So I believe that having all of those experiences really helps me. Most of the businesses that I work with are family businesses.
Okay.
I mean, most of the businesses in America.
Multi-generational family business is what you mean?
Potentially.
Okay.
Or they're first generation and they're trying to figure out how to get it to that second generation.
Oh, they're transitioning and they need your help, coaching, mentoring.
Correct.
To kind of help you guide them through the process
Yeah.
so that the ball doesn't get dropped or the baton doesn't get dropped on, you know, from one generation to the next.
Right.
That's a unique niche, but invaluable for sure.
Right. And that's where you can give perspective, especially for someone when you're having those difficult conversations and say, you know, here's what we're really thinking about. Here's what they're thinking about. You know, it's interesting when you get an outside perspective where you get someone that comes in that has some experience but is not tied into the business. As I go and I talk to families or talk to kids, a lot of times those kids will tell me stuff that they would never be able to tell their parents.
Right.
And you find out where all this conflict is coming.
You mean their parent who could be their boss or
is the owner.
Is the owner, okay. I got
and they're working for that.
Yes.
And now it's a matter of how do we make this all work, because you could have aunts and uncles in there.
Oh,
You
boy.
could have
We got some
brothers.
drama
You could have you have a lot of drama going on. And you find that there's this conflict, and then you know, as you talk from an outside perspective or talking to someone from the outside, you find out that all this conflict, it has nothing to do with what's going on in the business. It has to do with you stole somebody's soccer shoes in 4th grade.
Right.
So I'm never gonna I'm not gonna follow along with
right.
with
But
what's
you
going
play
on.
the mediator or the one that stands in between perhaps
Right.
and governs the progression of the conversation or whatever's happening with the transfer.
Right. Yeah, because the financial piece of it seldom is the
Really?
biggest obstacle.
So it's not like when a parent leaves a will and then you got the siblings that are fighting over.
Right.
This is something totally different.
100%.
Okay.
I mean, it is like that, but it's a matter of now that parent is still alive.
Okay.
So now we have to have these conversations, and maybe they don't want to have the conversation. So maybe, you know, I come in and able to, I guess, mentor through those conversations and say, hey, here's the things we're going to have to talk about, or this is not going to be able to move forward.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that happen in those kind of transitions that the parents don't understand. You know, they look at it and say, well, Johnny's going to buy this business from me, and it's like, okay, where's the money going to come from?
Right.
Johnny probably doesn't have any money, and so the parent all of a sudden comes to the realization that they're going to have to be the bank, because the bank's not going to loan, they don't have any collateral, whatever, so now the parent is going to bet their retirement on him being able to run the business. I'm like, maybe I should rethink that.
Right. How about no?
Yeah.
So that 80% never sell their business. What do they do?
So they may close the business.
Close.
It
one.
may...
Okay. They stay in it and drive it into the ground.
It may fail.
Okay.
Yep, it may fail. It may just evaporate. I mean, it just kind of goes away.
Right.
It's kind of like let's say an accountant or whatever. You know, they have a big bulk of, or a group of business, but as they get older, they may dwindle down their clients to the point where they're doing 2 or 3 or 4, and when a couple of those go away, they're like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Right.
So it just kind of fades off into the sunset.
Okay, let's talk about the 20%.
Yeah.
What do those look like? Are they successful transfers? And what percentage of those 20% are multi-generational? You know what I'm asking? Or they're just like selling a business to somebody they don't have a relationship with?
So you end up with all the different dynamics.
Okay.
So you a lot of times end up with a dynamic of the parent would love to see the kids run the business.
Okay.
Love to see this carry on to a second generation.
Yes.
Love to see this succeed and move forward. But in the course of trying to do a transition or trying to bring, you know, a sibling in, you find out the sibling really has no desire,
Right.
or doesn't have the desire that that the parent had when they were there through the long hours, they were there through all the stuff that had to go on to build the business. You understand it, being a
Right.
business owner,
Yep.
and the work ethic or the willingness to put forth those hours and sacrifice family time, sacrifice all that, may or may not be there. And it may be such that they're just not capable,
Right.
that they don't have the skill set to be able to take it to the next level. Because it takes a certain skill set to take it from a technician. Most businesses start at a technician level. Someone's good at something, saying, hey, I'm going to do this for myself
Right.
instead of for someone else. And so they can build it to a certain level. But getting above that level, then you have to have management skills, different skills than what it took to get to there.
So now Walker Tire at its peak, when you guys were involved, at what level was that scaled?
Well, it was basically third generation.
Okay.
Because you had the original owner, then my father buying him out. So that's almost a second generation.
Yes.
And then my brother and I being the next generation.
Okay. And then how was the scaling of it? Was it on the upswing? You know what I'm asking? And then when did you decide to transition out? And then what did you learn about that transition that you're using now with your clients day to day?
We had, when we came into the business, my brother and I came into the business, we had 2 locations. We
Okay.
had grown it to 5 locations here in Omaha. There's still another family that owns the Walker
There's still a
Tire
Walker
stores.
Tire in Omaha?
In Lincoln.
Oh, Lincoln? Okay.
Yeah. The stores here, unfortunately, after my brother bought me out, my brother passed away. And so then the business ended up being dissolved.
Oh, no.
So unfortunate.
Yeah.
But the stores in Lincoln are still around.
Okay.
And so I guess getting to that point, is that what the question?
Yeah.
Repeat the question for me.
Yeah.
How we got to that?
Yeah, scaling what you learned in scaling Walker Tire that now you use in strategic solutions.
Sure.
Scaling, business principles, applications, systems.
Yeah.
Like, what do you coach people that are doing what you did? How do you coach them?
We had 2 main divisions of our business. We had a commercial division, which would be trucks, larger trucks. And then we had a retail division.
Same
that
what they're
was
doing here
passenger
at Royalty,
cars. Yep, exactly.
Yes.
Same type of a breakup. So it took a different management team in each of those.
Exactly.
Originally, you had one person basically running everything.
Correct.
And as we grew it, my brother was running a piece of the business, my father was running a piece, I was running a piece, and we all, worked together on bigger decisions, but we kind of ran our own things.
Divisions, yep.
When we sold off one of the divisions, that created basically a void to say, okay, now how much talent do we need? My father was leaving, he was retiring, and then my brother and I being there, it brought in a whole different dynamic because now we're both going to be kind of running one division.
Right.
And so it's like, maybe we don't both need to be here to do that.
Because of this? Or
Yeah, some of that.
That's
but
what brothers do, though. don't
yeah,
they?
there you go. And it's hard to share a vision. And I guess the things that I learned over the time was really about focus.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest things that I see in business today that is difficult, is that the business owners, it's so easy to lose focus.
Okay.
The market has really made it very low barriers to entry for a lot of different, like going in a different avenue.
Okay.
And so it's hard to stay where you're at and continue to grow it and make it to the point where it's, really sustainable.
That's where the entrepreneur spirit is kind of a blessing and kind of a curse, right? I mean,
100%.
we want to initiate, create, develop something, and then move on to the next thing, not necessarily stay in what we created and manage it.
Right.
So it's a blessing and a curse. Speak to that.
Yeah. So a lot of entrepreneurs are great entrepreneurs. They're great idea people.
Yep, creative.
But when it comes to running an operation, it really gets in the way because they're constantly running off to a new thing,
Right.
and then those other pieces behind, they fall apart as quickly as you're building them. They're falling apart behind you, as opposed to being able to say, okay, I want to be creative, but let's be creative in a lane.
Right.
Let's try to continue on here and use that vision. And a lot of times it's really key for a business owner, especially if they have that talent. If starting a new thing, initiating talent is their real skill, their superpower, then you got to have somebody behind you that their superpower is, I know how to run operations. I know how
and manage
to
people.
Continue to grow it and add a team, and how does that need to look, and what levels of management do we set up, those kind of things.
Now that's easier said than done.
Yes.
Finding people, the right people to do, and that's why I'm excited on my transition. I feel like I found the right guy and the right people because he has some people that with him. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And what have you learned? What have you learned as you're grooming this?
What am I learning? I'm learning it's not easy to hand off your baby to somebody. I mean, I've kind of got to the point where I was working a lot, and I've kind of dwindled, because physically I wasn't able to work as much as I was. But then I want this thing to have some value by the time I'm ready to hand it off to somebody. But when you get to that where the rubber meets the road, it's not actually easy to hand that thing off.
Right.
It's got to be a little bit of gradual process, and then finally we have to make a cut. But I'm not quite at the cutting point yet. But
nice.
It's been an enjoyable process because I feel like I found the right guy. That's open, that's teachable, that's coachable, that's willing to say, hey, this has been working for you for 26 years. I'm not going to change a thing. I'm just going to come and I'll spend this whatever number of weeks with you. I'll watch what you do. We do it together. Then you watch what I do, and then don't let the door split you where the good Lord hit you, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much. That's where we're at. That's what I'm learning. It's not easy. It's not an easy process.
Yeah.
But that's where what your niche is, right? That's what your signature strength is.
Right.
Your skill set, your passion, your zeal is in filling that void. Am I correct?
Helping the owners find that right person. Because a lot of times you end up with somebody that has different ideas.
Right.
They aren't willing to say, hey, you have been successful for 26 years. I want to continue to run this that way. They have their own mindset, and they'll do broad stroke to saying, I'm going to try to run it that way. But in the back of their mind, they're like, this is not the way this should be run.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, your customers are tied to that process.
Yes.
How you do business.
And many of them, that's all they know. They don't know that there's another way of doing it.
100%.
Right.
So you create a lot of disruption. If you make a big change right off the bat, you really do create a lot of disruption with your customers. And that's who needs to stay. First and foremost is if you're going to get paid, they need to stay around.
Exactly.
So that is a tough thing. And like I said, I think just like you, having been around for 26 years, you have a lot of perspective.
Yes.
What's worked with customers, what hasn't, things you've tried, things you haven't tried, and being able to have those deeper conversations with those young entrepreneurs is very helpful. If they're willing to listen, if they're willing to say, hey, let me take the best of what they've learned, how can we make that work?
Right. What would you say, you called it something, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it's what you're really good at. What are you good at?
I give perspective.
So third-party perspective.
Yeah.
Outside looking in, 20,000 foot view to the two, three parties that may be involved.
Yeah. The main pieces that I work in is vision. What do you really see?
Yes.
Helping clarify vision. I'm very good at asking the right questions to really get to the core of what do we need to do, and that is the core, is the vision. How would you define vision? Because I have a specific definition that I've built or refined over the years. How would you define it? Then I'll share how I define vision. I consider vision to be, what do you actually see in the future?
Yeah.
What does this look like? If you were able to get into a time machine and step out 5 years from now, what do you see?
Right.
What do you see yourself doing? What do you see the company doing?
Yes.
What do you see the customers? Why are they still with you, or why are they not, or how have you transitioned? So being able to just clarify what you really want to do, and to be able to find your own passion. What is it you want to do?
Yeah.
And then be able to make that business run in conjunction with that. Because if you end up getting into a business where you're doing the stuff that you hate doing, it's miserable. You can continue on, you can continue to make a living, you can make some money, but if you're miserable every day, it doesn't fit. So that's how I kind of define
that's
vision.
Very similar to my definition. And my definition is when I close my eyes, in my mind's eye, and you said the term what, it answers the question what. What does it look like when I'm living my life on purpose, according to my mission? What does it actually look like, taste like, smell, in as much detail as possible?
Sure.
That's vision.
Yep. And what are you feeling?
Yes. How does it make you feel?
Right.
What does it look like? How heavy is it? What kind of stress does it give you?
Right.
So it's basically you're starting with the end in mind and working backwards from there, and then the fun starts. How to get from where you are to what you've seen in your mind's eye.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I'll come in, like I said, I have some young guys that I do some coaching with.
Yeah.
And they've got pain. And the pain is typically in I'm not able to keep my employees, or I'm not able to make money, or I'm not able to, find the right customers, or whatever that looks like, and then help them with that. You asked, what's your superpower or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm an encourager.
Yes.
And I'm a problem solver.
Okay.
And I'm not interested in giving you an answer.
Okay.
I'm interested in helping you get to the answer.
Okay.
And understanding yourself, how you got there, so that you can replicate it and move forward.
You can chat GPT it as much as you want, but ultimately you need a third party like yourself that's been there, done that, and knows the nuances of the game. And knowing, and this is what Nick said, you got to have Brad on the podcast because he's full of wisdom. Wisdom, from my perspective, means you know what to do when. Right. What exactly to do and when to do it. Because what's right today could be wrong tomorrow.
Sure. And I certainly don't claim to have all the answers.
No.
I collect questions.
Yes.
Over time, as I hear a question, it's like, that's a great question to get to kind of the core of what's going on. Because a lot of times what you're feeling isn't necessarily tied to what you're doing right now. It's tied to something else.
Yes.
It's tied
that has nothing to do with it, perhaps?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's problems with the kids. It's problems with parents. It's problems with employees. It's something else is causing, what's happening in the business. And being able to kind of step back, walk through, take a breath, and then be able to look at it from an outside perspective really gives an ability to help someone kind of work beyond.
Yes. So the wisdom piece, the servant-minded mentality. Nick said, let's talk about his service-mindedness. Is that a word?
Sounds like a word.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Talk to us about the heart of the service, a servant leader or whatever you call it in your...
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the talents God gave me is kind of a servant mentality. When I sold the company, this is back in 2014, my wife and I started doing some overseas mission projects.
Okay.
So we went to Uganda.
So you took some time off from...
Yeah.
You sold it, took some time off?
And started Strategic Solutions almost immediately.
Okay.
But that's a very flexible business.
Right.
It isn't like you have to be there 8 to 5. You're helping people on whatever schedule. Yeah, as consulting.
Yes.
So we did, I think, 4 trips to Uganda for up to 3 months at a time, and worked with a mission there that was reaching out, doing children work in schools. So it was education, teaching English, doing those kind of things, and then also some work in the marketplace, which is small business owners, which was right up my alley.
Okay.
And being able to go, share your faith with them, but also help them with business issues, problems, etc. So,
just the two of you, or are you partnered with an organization that's doing this, or is this just something that's on your heart and you guys just went and did it?
No, there was an organization.
I was gonna say, okay.
Yeah, there was an organization that was there.
Okay.
And we, through my daughter, actually got hooked up with this organization, and then ended up doing, like I said, 3 or 4 trips over there.
Okay.
Helped doing some construction stuff, helped doing some medical stuff, all different kinds of things. But it amazingly gave me a different perspective on the world.
Okay.
I wish that every kid in America had to go to a third world country and had to see how the world really lives.
Right.
That, the problems that we have, the first world problems, are nothing compared to what the world really lives like.
Kind of like what the Mormon, the Latter-day Saints, right? They have to have this, what do they call it? A mission, or like a 2-year stint where they're, whether they want to or not.
Yep, they go serve and they kind of assign it, and here you go.
Yes.
Yeah. But I was able to get that perspective in dealing with a whole other culture. We were 2 of the only white people in the whole area that we were in. So you're almost experiencing racism from the other side.
Reverse.
And it's like, wow, it's, you go into the marketplace and we would try to buy something, construction supplies or whatever, and if we went, the price was double. And it's like, how is that possible? we're trying to be straightforward and honest with the people, and yet you see what people really talk about. So like I said, it really gives you a different feel for what's going on in the world and being able to help people.
What do you still do those, or was that just that season of your life?
We did that for, like I said, 4 trips, and then we started going to Haiti.
Okay.
And we've done, I think, 5 trips to Haiti.
Wow.
And we haven't been able to go to Haiti for about 3 years because it's just unsafe.
Right.
So it's
When's the last time you've been to Haiti?
I think it was in 2022, maybe.
Oh, recently. Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you guys, is that your decision, your wife's decision, both of your decision, and then why do you do that? I've never been on one.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I have a desire to either.
Right.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Just because I've never done it.
Sure. My daughter works for an organization in Haiti. They are out of Sioux Falls, but they work in Haiti as well, called Mission Haiti.
Okay.
And so we have gone to help them, and we've gone at times where they're doing supplying kids for school.
Okay.
So you go in, you help them get outfitted, books, backpack, pair of shoes, and helping them get ready for school. So they have kids in their sponsorship program. People have sponsored kids to be able to go to school. Nobody goes to school unless they pay.
Right.
So there is no such thing as free education.
Okay.
And so they fortunately have people that have sponsored. And I think there's about 2,600 kids in that scenario. So we go and help outfit. But it's a great feeling to go and see kids that are genuinely so excited about going to school for an opportunity to be able to actually potentially have a better life.
Wow.
You've got kids that are 13, 14 years old that are basically starting in kindergarten because they've never had the opportunity to go to school. And just to see the joy in their faces knowing that they're going to have this opportunity it's hard to describe.
Right. You had to be there.
Yeah, it's very valuable.
Is there a particular story, kid, situation, scenario in Haiti that just stuck with you and it's embedded in your hard drive that just kind of you refer back to it, maybe in tough times, maybe when you think you got, when you're down, or I don't know.
Right.
Is there a story, a kid, a person, a situation, a circumstance that comes to mind that you can share with us?
Think about that. It's a great
that's
question.
impacted you, that maybe helps guide you.
Right. I think there was a situation where we had a mom that had brought a couple of kids for distribution, they call it, when they outfit the kids.
Of clothing?
With the backpack, the books, pair of shoes.
Got it.
So
School
they come
supplies.
and then they kind of work through that. And then as part of it, they take their picture for the school and then give them the documentation or whatever. As part of it, they gave the mom a picture. Like they printed it off and gave her a picture. And she wept because she's never had an actual picture of her child. So she could actually pin it on a wall and see her child.
And he was outfitted with his...
Yeah, he had his new school shirt on and, and big smile because he's, and he's got a backpack that's, he's a small...
Right, he's ready to go.
So it's like 2 sizes too big and he's so happy. But she was just overjoyed.
Did you get to witness that when she seen the image, or?
Yes. And so it was like, wow, that is impactful.
Right.
To think of something that is so small for us.
We take for granted.
We take for granted, and then to see someone what a small thing it takes to really make a difference in someone's life. To really have that caring and knowing that someone is actually cares about you, looking out for you.
So now that Haiti sounds like it's pretty close to missionaries, or is that what we call them, missionaries?
Yeah.
So, and she works for the Haiti mission, so how have they pivoted in order to gain access, or are they in a holding pattern? Or how do they impact Haiti when it's closed to and so dangerous?
As part of their original mission, they didn't want to be a U.S. organization in Haiti.
Okay.
They wanted to take the team that was there and empower them to run
from the inside out.
Run from the inside out.
Okay.
To actually create the leaders there in a program that they could actually run. And so COVID forced that.
Okay, perfect.
Because they couldn't go, and so they had to hand over the power. They had done a lot of training with the people, but it's been almost miraculous to see them really step up, take the responsibilities, and kind of work forward from that.
Because without actually having anybody there that's from the United States, you actually have boots on the ground that can give a report, an accurate report of the impact that the organization have made over the years. That's actually evolving from the inside out and growing and developing from the inside out.
Yeah, like my daughter, I think she was at some point making, I don't know, 15 or 20 trips a year
to Haiti? Okay.
And now she makes maybe 2.
Okay.
And so they go over, they meet with the leadership team. They have, kind of a leadership week and say, hey, what are we doing? Share the vision, share the plans, how are things going, and then solve problems, and then step away again and help them, encourage them, and kind of lead them.
Right. So do you see yourself and your wife going back to Haiti, or what do you see next in terms of missions?
I could see going back to Haiti. I could see doing something else. It just depends on kind of what pops up. The Lord leads in strange ways. It's like all of a sudden opportunities pop up. It's like, I never saw that coming.
Okay.
So we'll see. I have an open mind. With stepping out that first time to go to Uganda, to a country, it's like, man, it was tough. I'm like, do I really want to do this? But then you get there and it's like, wow, this is amazing.
That's hard to wrap my mind around. I'm not even sure where Uganda is on the map. Is it?
It's kind of in the center of Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know where Haiti is, and I know that it's been a struggle recently.
Yeah. Hot spot down there.
Yeah. So back to the entrepreneur spirit that you have.
Yeah.
Did you get that from your father? Was that something you witnessed, or that was like brought up in you, or did you develop that? And speaking, as you see other young entrepreneurs, can you grow that in somebody? They either have it or they don't?
That's a great question. Whether it's inside, outside.
Yeah.
We had, I've been an entrepreneur almost my whole life from young age. I had started a business in high school, a couple of businesses, I had a mowing business, I had a golf club repair business, I had all different kinds of things that I had done. And so it's always in me. It's always seeing a problem and saying, hey, I think that there's a way of fixing that, a way of doing that, and kind of starting in. And I think a lot of people have that, and I think that they're afraid to pursue it.
Why?
Because they look at the risk.
Yeah.
And so, as an entrepreneur, it's like, okay, sometimes you have to consider the risk, but it can't be debilitating for you. You have to be able to take a step and see what happens. Doesn't mean that you have to jump in with both feet and, go crazy.
Right.
But there are ways that you can kind of step forward. Getting the right help in being able to ask the right questions and really analyze an opportunity to say, is this really an opportunity, or is it just just an idea?
Yeah. So now we had your son on the podcast the other day, and it looks like they're really growing and developing and scaling their Carinera product. How have you influenced or impacted their entrepreneur spirit, or their growth, or their development, or guided them? Are you just kind of step back and watch them?
Yeah,
What's the relationship there?
I step in when asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wisdom.
So it's like, I'm glad to help you. However, but if you think that you've got the answers, then you continue to rock on. And they do some things that maybe are a little different than the way I would do it, but they've been successful at it.
Right.
And so I'm learning right along with them. It's an area of business in the consumer packaged goods business that I know nothing about.
Right.
I've never worked in, whatever. So there's a lot of learning curve there. But I think having the ability to ask them some good questions for them to think about as as they're talking about, hey, here's what we're thinking about doing. If you can ask the right questions, it does guide them in, let's make sure we look at all sides of this.
Do they ask you?
They do.
They do? Okay.
Yeah. So it's fun.
Yeah.
They're young and they're
spry. You got a young family though too.
Yeah, young family. And so they have another child on the way, so it's really going to get crazy here in another few months.
What gets you up in the morning? What excites you in the morning? What motivates you at this phase of your life? How old are you?
64.
Yeah.
Serving. Quite honestly, I love doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
I love going out and connecting with people. I belong to 2 or 3 networking groups.
How'd you meet Nick?
Through a networking group.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many years ago?
Probably 20.
20 years ago. Is that the Friday group?
It is.
Okay.
It
Friday
is.
morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, when I met Nick, he was just starting out.
Yes.
He was maybe 2 years in.
That's back when he was putting taking roofs off himself and putting them on himself.
Yep, exactly. So the conversations we've had, I can remember way back in that time. It's way different than a conversation today.
It's a beautiful thing. My son Mason's actually in the group the Friday group,
Yes,
I think.
yes,
So
yeah.
that's our
Great
oldest
young man.
son. Yep. But it's been great having a conversation with you. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming by and sharing some of your wisdom. Looking forward to what the future holds. And what does that look like for you?
You know, I want to go as hard as I can for as long as I can.
In this direction?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I mean,
So you've made your pivot. You've made back when you did the walker tire thing. Now you pivot in this direction. You'll just ride that out.
Yeah.
And then how will you transition that to your strategic solutions to somebody else?
I don't know. You know, I've thought a lot about that. That's a great question. I don't know whether I want to grow that to, have somebody take over. It's been very much it's process driven. I'm all about process when I'm helping business owners.
Right.
And it's very much a process in how do you help people? What kind of a process do you use? What kind of steps do we want to use?
Operating system.
There's an operating type system with it. But I don't know the wisdom that I have from being in the other business, from being in the family business. I haven't figured out how to take it from here and put it in someone else. And so that's the most difficult part for me, is figuring out how do you take that wisdom, and then do I want to try to find someone else that would do what I'm doing.
So you're a consultant. Who would you consult for something like that?
As far as finding that person?
Yes.
I don't know.
We're digging now.
It would almost be...
what kind of person would help?
It would probably be another consultant.
Yes, that would match make, right?
Yeah, that would be somebody that has something of a similar background,
right?
Potentially, or a little bit different background. There's different facets as we're working on business transition. One of the biggest pieces is valuation.
Right.
How much is this business actually worth? How do we get that business? How can we make it more valuable? Those kind of things. So maybe partnering with somebody that is kind of in that space, and then finding someone that can do the space that I'm in.
Yeah.
I could see that happening at some point in time.
That's awesome.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see what
It's
happens.
fun.
We'll
It's
see what
fun.
the future holds.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate your time. Thanks
You
for
bet.
sharing with
Hey,
us, and
thank
thanks
you.
for coming by. Appreciate the wisdom.
All right.
And we'll see you soon.